Marcellus Shale natural gas industry is already paying dividends in Pennsylvania. But should the gas companies be paying additional taxes? And if so, who gets the money? These are some of the questions being debated by the House Finance Committee. Let's spend 5 minutes with the chairman, Representative Kerry Benninghoff. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Can you kind of tell the viewers a little bit about some of the hearings that happened over the summer and what you discovered there?
Yeah, part of our goal was to try to geographically go across Pennsylvania and look at some of the different well sites, both the shallow well sites out in the west, which has been drilling probably for 60 years, in addition to the Marcellus Shale that is a little bit more young in its tenure, probably the last 2 or 3 years, and try to get an idea of what their overall impacts are within the communities, both positive and negative, and what type of benefits have come subsequent of that.
And in addition, there's been a lot of discussion over whether or not to put some additional taxes on the industry. Can you basically outline the position of those who support what's called an impact fee? And what is an impact fee?
Well, there's two different proposals, actually. Some would like to just put a percentage assessment or a tax on the extraction of the mineral. And there's been debate about that because currently in Pennsylvania we do not tax the extraction of limestone or oil or water or even those who may harvest firewood and sell it for fuel. And so there are some concerns about equity across the board in our taxation. There are others who see this as a quick financial fix for many different problems facing the Commonwealth. And while I will give credit that there is a significant amount of revenue being generated from this industry, I think part of the concern is, do we kill the goose after it lays its first golden egg, or do we allow it to perpetuate? And I think one of the positive things that we've learned throughout our hearings is a significant amount of jobs that have been created by the industry directly, as well as jobs, what I call a second circle of jobs by the outlying areas, the restaurants, the hotels,
trucking,
people who provide lubricants and oil changes, welding properties, and those types of services that is needed by this industry.
Those who support taxing, what are some of the arguments that are made on their side of it?
Well, the irony is we have a lot of interest in the southeastern part of the state for applying a tax, and most of the legislation is actually coming out of that area, while the majority of, not all, of the production is in the upper northern tier of the state. Mm-hmm. I think for the most part there's those who feel that because it's big business they ought to be able to contribute more and therefore provides a revenue source. There are those who are very concerned about the environmental impacts and feel as though we ought to levy some kind of fee to have a reserve fund to address any future problems that could occur. And then there are others who just want to use it to balance the state budget. The other caveat that makes it difficult is I think the crux of the debate is if we do something like this, whether it's a extraction tax or a local impact fee, does the money stay locally or does the money go to Harrisburg? If it's an impact fee, then obviously you're trying to mitigate costs that may have been incurred on site or within the municipality or the county and where the production is occurring, versus sending the money to Harrisburg and then redistributing it for anything and everything. That's really going to be the crux of this whole discussion.
I'm asking you to kind of predict the future here a little bit, but is there one plan that you see gaining traction, or what do you think will happen with this issue?
Well, if I believed in crystal balls, I would say if the legislature decides to assess some type of fee, it will probably be the local impact fee. Mm-hmm. Through our hearings, I think it's been pretty universal that most of the impact's pretty local. It's on a lot of the local highways, but a lot of these companies have been very forthcoming in providing their assistance to upgrade these roads, and yes, it does benefit them and provides safer roads for their own employees, but the communities after these people leave will still continue to have that road that's been improved. Ironically, last week I heard the Secretary of PennDOT tell us that there are many roads that have been upgraded and improved leading into winter and are better prepared for this year's winter season than he could have done with the diminishing resources available through PennDOT. So I think that kind of collaboration between the companies and our local municipalities and state government is what we'd like to try to do, and we hope that putting a tax or some assessment doesn't discourage that.
Sure.
So if something does occur along those lines, I believe it will be a local impact fee to try to mitigate any impact, whether it's on the roads, whether it's on the waterways, and or a reserve fund in order to try to address that. There's great and I think growing concern by a lot of members of the General Assembly to just assess a fee and put in a pot of money in Harrisburg allows for too much mischief, that money to be spent for things that are not related to the industry. And I think from a fairness perspective, if you're going to ask people to try to have money set aside for something they may impact in a negative manner, then that money should be used accordingly.
Well, I guess it's an issue we'll be keeping our eye on and the ear to the ground, so to speak, as you work through it.
That's the goal of the hearings, to try to get people's voice, and we've heard from industry, we've heard from people that live in these communities, citizens, local businesses, people who have prospered themselves through their own businesses because of a spin-off resource that they could provide from the Marcellus Shale drilling. And I think that's exciting. That's what Pennsylvanians and Americans are all about.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Well, if you have any comments or questions about this or any other legislative topic, Representative Benninghoff's contact information will be shown in just a moment. I'm Laurie Bull. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with State Representative Kerry Benninghoff.